You should be good. Yeah, so you can go ahead and hit go live whenever you are ready. Awesome. Okay. Well, welcome back. We have an incredible repeat guest with us, but this time she is in the hot seat for our live Q&A inside the Life Lounge with Life Network, and I'm so excited to bring her back. We have Julia Blackwell, our fascia specialist. Welcome back, Julia.
Thank you so much for having me on. Hooray.
Yay. Oh my goodness. So I love learning from you. You are the queen of just anything when it comes to body tension, tightness, pain, all these things that every single person deals with day in, day out. If you're not today, you probably will tomorrow, right? So we all have some sort of pain and tension at some time in our lives, or maybe we have a loved one that might be dealing with some pain. So we are here to get back in the seat with Julia, answering your questions live and in real time. So if you are joining us live, start dropping your questions in the chat. We already had a ton come in through Life Network. Also, let us know where you're tuning in from. We love to hear that. And if you want to be on the hot seat too, we can pull you up to ask Julia face-to-face as well. We always love that. If not, I can just read the questions out loud. But she is an incredible fascia specialist with incredible insight into how the body works and healing it from within. And I just love learning from her. And if you have not had a chance to tune into our very first podcast we did together to really go into her background and how she started and what led her to get into fascia and what she's doing now, make sure to tune into that. We'll drop the link below. This will be recorded and it will go out live on all of our Instagram, all of our streaming platforms, inside Life Network, all of the things. But before we dive into the questions, Julia, can you please I know they have the podcast to reference back to, but just a quick high level overview, who you are and what you do for those of the people who do not know.
Sure. Yeah. I'm Julia Blackwell. I usually make the joke that I am your friendly neighborhood fascia release expert.
I love it.
Been deep in the fascia release world for the last 12-ish years. I got into it just through my own story. I was born with nerve damage that absolutely nothing was able to positively affect. I felt just no lasting change whatsoever until I discovered a very specific type of fascia release work that I still do today. And it's been amazing. So I help people. I have a practice in Golden, Colorado, but I also have been teaching certifications and other training programs for the last 3 to 4 years, which has also been such a great time as well.
Yeah. And you do help so many people, not just in Colorado, which is great, but virtually. You have some courses, you have an incredible newsletter, and a lot of your content we are starting to pipe into Life Network so people can learn more from you as well, and the courses that you put out there. And then you train the trainer, which is what I love because your reach can expand even further.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some really incredible and magical things happen in my office, and it's felt like it's remained in those four walls for such a long time. So it's really amazing to start to show other people what's possible and how to work with specific ailments. Because you're right, like you were saying, if we're not in pain, we know someone who's in pain. It's an epidemic. There's millions of people in just the United States with just back pain. You know what I mean? It's just everywhere. So being able to weed through the misinformation and help people feel relief more quickly is so great to have that impact be spread. Now that I've been teaching other people, it's so great.
I love it. So you have a fun Instagram account to follow too. You give some quick little tips that people can implement into their daily life without having to necessarily go see somebody. But it is, many times it is necessary to go see somebody to get kind of like that full work and evaluation. But you do give some just quick tips, and I know we'll get into some of those today too, which I'm super excited about. But so without further ado, we did have some questions come in specifically about wrist pain and soreness. We had this one come in. I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up, but she's wondering the best exercises for wrist pain and soreness. She's found herself to have chronic wrist pain. She's on the laptop a lot and almost all day. So that's probably playing a major role, I would assume.
It is. And something to consider. So all of our fascia is connected, right? My favorite analogy is that it's like plastic wrap that wraps around every single thing. It's like plastic bags within plastic bags within plastic bags, right? It's all connected. And so largely where we're feeling pain is not the problem. So yes, when you're typing, you're using your extensors and you feel that you're using a lot of your wrist, ultimately wrist pain tends to be a shoulder dysfunction problem. So releasing up into the pec and down a little bit into the bicep is really key for wrist pain. So think about how often your elbow is in a bent position. It's bent when you're on the laptop. It's bent when you're texting, when you're driving, when you're sitting. That bicep muscle is almost consistently for most people in a shortened position.
Mm-hmm.
Your bicep tendon attaches up in the shoulder. What normally happens is as the bicep tightens, your shoulder starts to round forward, and then your shoulder stops functioning at its ideal capacity. And then give that enough time, and usually one of the most common things is wrist pain, carpal tunnel, and these various wrist problems. But actually, if you open up the shoulder and the bicep fascia, most of that wrist pain goes away pretty quickly.
Okay, perfect. I mean, it is when you think about it, like our elbows really are pretty much bent, what,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
95% or more? I don't know. It feels like, when am I not bending my elbow?
I mean, walking, but that's about it. If you're
That's a good
running,
point.
your arms are bent,
Mm,
depending on what kind of, if you're mountain biking, there's just a lot of scenarios where your elbow is bent, that bicep is in a shortened position, and it's really playing a role in your shoulder position. So,
mhm.
you've got the ball of your humerus bone, that's your shoulder bone, right? It's supposed to be nice and centered in a ball and socket joint. So
Mhm.
when you start to get it pulled forward towards the front and rounded forward, it
Yeah.
can't function like a ball and socket joint anymore. It's functioning more like a hinge joint. And as
Oh,
we lose these little parts of our mobility in the arm, we tend to feel the pain. We literally tend to feel the pain
yeah.
further down the chain, and the wrist tends to be one of the top places you end up suffering from that.
Okay, that's interesting. And then would that also be connected with, like, tennis elbow, whatever they call that as well?
Absolutely. Yes, it
Okay.
is. Mhm.
That's something that I just recently am getting. I'm like, "Oh,
No.
what's happening there?" I know. I was like, "Well, Julia's coming on. I will ask her."
Yeah, I'll send you some stuff.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because it's interesting. I was like, I don't know. I work out a lot too. It's like, but it's chronic right now. So I was like, hey, is this just age or what's happening?
No, usually the shoulder is a big factor, and, if we're talking specifics, because I was
Mhm.
also peeking at some of these questions, and I think someone else was like, "What's the best thing to do for shoulder tension?"
Yep.
I personally love where did it go? I have a standard lacrosse ball. I use this thing all the time. It's the perfect place. I'm gonna try to get into the camera a little bit more.
Yeah.
I put it right into the pec spot here. So it's not on the shoulder bone, and we're not so internal that you're on your rib cage here. It's like a little
Okay.
squishy pocket
Yeah.
outside that feels muscly.
Yep.
If you lean into a squat rack bar or a doorway. My favorite thing, I'll just kind of hold it in place with my other hand, and then
Okay.
I'll start moving up and down very slowly and intentionally with the arm on the side that I'm compressing. So reaching over
Mm,
your head like a shoulder press, doing some internal external rotation, just as long as you're moving slow. But
mhm.
active movement is really one of the biggest factors in changing fascia. So
Yeah.
being able to compress that area, move the arm, especially overhead, because yet again, kind of like with the bent elbow thing, think of how little we're really reaching over our head on a
Mhm.
daily basis. We really
Not
aren't.
very much. Nope.
We're working out and doing overhead movements every single day, which, you know what? We mostly don't do.
Right.
So being able to stretch three-dimensionally and get that movement in really helps repattern fascia and get it to rehydrate more quickly. So I
Mhm.
would say that is the top one I would do for the shoulder and also for the wrist and for the
Mm.
elbow. Let's see, just one technique to help really everything down that entire line of fascia.
That's so good. Okay, so I remember from last time when we've talked before, it is all about the movement, and that's what maybe some people might get wrong when they are either foam rolling or using, medicine ball of sorts. As they're just kind of being a little bit more too static, or maybe going too fast.
Yeah, I mean, here's something about me. I'm not a very patient person. I
Same.
want to see the results of whatever I'm doing quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for most people is, when we do something that's passive, so, someone else is doing something to us, whether that's a person, like just kind of a standard massage, or a thing like a stem machine or a Theragun. It's just something else attempting to change your body for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that it doesn't work. It can, but it takes a really long time because our fascia needs movement
Right.
to rehydrate.
Okay.
And so when we're not actively engaging our nervous system, and our fascia can also communicate, so those like communicative properties of the fascia as well.
Yeah.
Without movement, we're not teaching our brain or our fascia that this new range of motion is possible, or that we're not getting that cross fibering of all of those three-dimensional layers to really rehydrate and restore movement. So
Mm-hmm.
I just say when you add active movement, the time it's going to take to feel a difference is much smaller. I
Okay.
just talked to someone on, we had a phone chat the other day, and she was like, I've been working on my back pain for years.
Yeah.
I
Most people
did
have.
1 week of just the free stuff that you have on Instagram, and it's
Mhm.
almost totally gone in a week. Like, what?
Wow.
And it's the movement. I think that's the biggest difference between this and just your standard rolling or your standard passive things, is that
Interesting.
movement really does kickstart the process of things
Okay.
only changing, but then staying in that changed position.
Right. Okay. So it's a way to expedite it versus a typical more static or just rushing through it possibly, and they're not getting the benefits as deep as they potentially could. To kind of piggyback off of that, we had somebody say, if I only have 5 minutes a day, what should I focus on for fascia relief? So I would kind of love to know that too, because like you said, like we're all busy, we want instant relief. Yeah. What would you say to that person?
Well, I have two answers. So, with only 5 minutes, I would say moving your body as dynamically as possible for 5 minutes is gold.
Mm,
Twisting, bending, hanging from a bar, just it doesn't need to be a workout. I'm not talking like burpees.
yeah. Yeah.
It could even be a very elaborate form of like dancing for 5 minutes,
Okay.
where if you can move every part of your body in a full range of motion in some way, that's going to help keep fascia more hydrated.
Okay.
The other part of that, I would say, if you're actively feeling pain, you'd want to focus on releasing your fascia in the areas that are contributing the most. And I know that gets a little bit trickier because you might not know what areas are contributing the most right now.
Mm,
But I would say, if you have low back pain, for example, the top two areas that contribute to that are in the quads. So the quad fascia and then the core fascia.
right.
So I would spend my 5 minutes just doing those two things because
Yep.
I know it's going to help my back pain. Or for you, Karie, if you're feeling tennis elbow,
Yeah.
releasing your bicep and your pec muscle, like we were
Yep.
talking about, that would be your 5 minutes. So you might have to
Exactly.
be a bit strategic there's a bit of if you're doing this on your own, there's an exploratory, choose your own adventure side of this,
Yeah.
bit of a
Yeah.
process. Um, I can always help, if you go deep down my Instagram feed, you'll probably learn a lot of these connections that go with certain pains. And then I would say,
Right.
just do the couple of things that feel the most impactful to what you're feeling.
I love that. I love how you've said before, it's kind of just like play, right? And you literally just like get your foam roller or your, medicine ball and just kind of like play around, like, and tune into your body. Like, where is it talking to you? Where does it need a little bit more love and attention?
Yeah.
What's kind of, or some of it becomes like a loud scream and knock until you start to listen. And then that's where you're going to focus those 5 minutes on that area, because your body really needs some love and attention in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times, like we were saying before, where you feel pain isn't the problem. So when you
Yeah.
go exploring other areas away from your pain, you might have those really insane aha moments where you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that my inner thighs were this tight, or I had no idea that my bicep was this tight, because you may or may not feel that fascia is stuck in a shortened or contracted position. Where we tend to feel pain is where something's being overstretched or overworked,
Mm-hmm.
which is on the opposite. Like, it's the opposite side that's normally tight. So there's a
Right.
bit of a process of finding, okay, what's truly tight, and like, oh my gosh, what a surprise. I had no idea that thing existed there.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. And I remember learning from you before too, just because they have back pain and that's not exactly where it is coming from, or knee pain, hip pain. It could be coming from a different area. So to kind of go into that one though too, we had a person ask, how do I know if my fascia is what's causing my back, knee, hip pain? Interesting.
Great question. I'm going to go out on a pretty wild limb and say 99% of pain you're experiencing is a fascia problem.
Oh,
And the reason is because fascia, I've heard people talk about fascia before, almost like it's a sausage casing that goes around the outside of your muscles, but that's not the reality here. It's wrapping around your bone multiple times, and then every single muscle fibril, and then muscle fiber, and then muscle group. Like it's just this
wow.
a million layers on million layers. Without it, if we
Hmm.
imagine a human body, if we were to magically make the fascia disappear out of the body, you would just go tumbling to the ground in a pile of bone fragments and goo. What's
Mm,
holding you in the current position you're in your current shape, with the current texture of your muscles right
mm,
now, is your fascia. So
amazing.
even if you think, well, oh, I have a herniated disc, or well, it's just a pinched nerve, and you think it's something else that's structural or related to a nerve, it's still fascia, because fascia
Hmm.
is what's keeping it suspended in the position that you're currently in.
Okay.
So regardless, like I personally, like I look at a herniated disc or a big rotation in the hips, people think one leg is shorter than the other, any of those things. It's just that fascia has become restricted in one area and pulled the rest of your bones out of alignment. It's changed the position of not only your structure, but how well muscles are able to fire when you're now in
Mm.
a slightly compromised position. So truly, like I've seen anything you can think of over the last 12 years in
Oh,
my
sure.
office. I don't, there's maybe been 2 or 3 cases that I can think of where fascia was not the issue. Like it was actually like a serious structural problem.
Wow.
Almost everything is fascia.
So then that probably makes more sense into why we need that movement to kind of engage it to flow and kind of shift the bone in a different position.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Or a lot of pain can happen from just a sheer lack of hydration.
Mm,
And being able to cross fiber fascia with that active movement component is what truly rehydrates. You're not going to get that from stretching. You're not going to get it from a Theragun. It's a very specific shearing type of emotion.
right.
So, for whoever asked this question, I would say go to the quads, go to the IT bands, go to the inner thighs and the adductors in the specific style that I'm talking about. There's plenty of videos in my profile that you can look at and
Yep.
see what happens, because I will guess that you will feel a significant difference just releasing these areas nearby with, just releasing your fascia. God, words are
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's super helpful. And like you said, like you do have tons of videos out there. So people could just, take a look on your Instagram and your Life Network profile too. And we have a lot of videos on there. So um play and explore. And it might not be that exact like back area. You might need to release everything else around it. So that's super good. What about this person's asking, is it better to do fascia work in the morning or evening? Does that matter?
It depends on your intention.
Mm,
So, if you tend to experience a lot of pain while at your desk, so Ava, I believe, asked,
yeah.
what happens when I'm on my laptop all day? My wrist hurts. I would say do fascia release in the morning. See if you can open up your fascia enough to get through your workday without feeling any pain,
Hmm.
right? It just kind of gets everything moving,
Moving. Okay.
moving a little bit. If you work on your fascia in the evening, it can help promote relaxation and improve sleep. But
Mm,
it's also a way to kind of undo what you've done during the day. So, a day I go out for a really long hike, it's going to be better for me to release in the evening, because thankfully, at this point in my life, at least right now, I have no pain when I do
yeah.
these types of activities. So I'm going more for, let's just undo this repetitive motion that I just did and probably
Yeah.
tighten some things up. So it really
Okay.
just depends on what your goal is.
Okay, that's good. I like, yeah, again, it's kind of like thinking about what your body needs and tune into that. Like for Ava specifically, your myself included, like being on a computer, what can I do to prevent maybe some of that chronic pain that I'm starting to get, and get
Yeah.
ahead of that?
Or, maybe let's even mention working out, right? So if
Mm,
you have pain that comes up while you're working out, or you want to help improve the amount of mobility you can access during a workout, do fascia release before. If
Okay.
you're looking to recover faster and just prevent any onset of maybe some pain or tension coming after your workout, do it after. So again, it doesn't really matter except for what is your goal.
Or do both.
Do both. Yeah.
If you have the time and the luxury, right?
For the end, yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, like it shouldn't be a luxury, right? It should be part of like our daily routine, if not weekly.
Absolutely. And again, because we want results to happen quickly, when you combine the compression and active movement component of the type of fascia release I'm talking about, you don't have to do this for 45 minutes every day or even 30 minutes a day. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's just those, 5 to 20 minutes where you're intentionally working through just a few spots and you get to move on with your day. And
Mm.
honestly, when you add that active movement, you're going to see better results from doing that than you would if you stretched for an hour. So,
That's such a good
mine is
point.
just know that it doesn't necessarily have to take this huge chunk of your day. You really can make a lot of progress in little time if, again, you know how you're trying to release your fascia and if you're doing it in the right place, that's going to help with whatever issue you've got going on.
Okay. So then would you say that you shouldn't do stretching at all and just do fascial release instead?
I'm not a fan of static stretching. I don't think the
Yeah.
research is really there either. I don't think it's anything compelling. I've also seen a lot of clients over the years, like more than I could count, who
Mm.
had been stretching for their issue and it actually made it worse. Because
Interesting.
again, when you think about stretching, we're pulling and lengthening the muscle fibers and some fascial fibers too, but just in one direction and in one plane of motion.
Good point.
That's not how the body does not work so segmented with like,
Mhm.
oh, just my hamstrings are tight or just my psoas is tight, right? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't look like that. But just knowing that fascia is this layer on layer on layer, like crisscrossing spider web matrix, one plane of motion isn't going to do anything. We have to
Mm.
be able to stretch it multidirectionally and in a three-dimensional way because that's how the body is going to utilize that tissue and that's how it actually works, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And I would say maybe for somebody who does love, say, yoga or stretching, if you love maybe more, it's a mental release or just but not necessarily for the actual stretching or recovery component, maybe just more of like the mindset.
It will moving your body. Moving
Yeah.
your body is always going to be helpful for fascia, but if you're only doing stretching or yoga in an attempt to solve a pain, it's probably going to take a while.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
I'm not anti-yoga or I kind of am anti-static stretching. Uh, I haven't seen any magic there. And like
Yeah. Yeah.
me as someone who has grown up, spent 16 years of my life in occupational therapy,
That's right.
stretching just did absolutely nothing for me.
Mhm.
And I've seen it time and time again with other people. So I'm saying this from experience.
Right? No,
It just
yes, you have. Yeah, from everybody that you continue to help, and then your own experience too, and it wasn't unlocked for you until you had, like, kind of your first fascia release experience, is that correct?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So don't waste your time and money. Maybe do yoga just for, like, the mindset component, breath work maybe.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
movement, the
Mhm.
relaxation. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, yeah. Cool, good. All right, we have another question about, does fascia restriction impact digestion or mood?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So we have all different kinds of fascia, right? We've got more superficial towards the surface of our body. We have deep fascia. We have visceral fascia that goes around the organs. There's all of these layers, but I want you to envision, let's take the whole core, for example, that it's a vacuum seal bag. So if over time you're really stressed, maybe you're doing way too many crunches, I don't know. There's all kinds of reasons that the fascia starts to stick together. But stress is a huge one. Inactivity is another one.
Mm,
Think about the average person. How little are you, extending through your spine and doing these dynamic twisting movements through the core? Like probably not a lot, right?
right.
Depending on what you do on a day-to-day basis or what your activity is like. But mostly from inactivity and stress, it's like the air is slowly getting sucked out of that vacuum seal bag
Mhm.
That not only has muscles inside of it and nerves and blood flow and things, but the organs are in there. So as
Mhm.
everything's getting shrink wrapped and stuffed closer and closer together, it's really no wonder that digestion would
Mm.
suffer from a lot
Right.
of space in that tissue. So absolutely, I've heard that multiple times that digestion has improved after
That makes
doing
sense.
especially release on the core.
Okay.
And then as far as mood goes, I know I'm throwing a lot of analogies your way, but I think it's just that
It's helpful.
you can also think of your fascial system a bit like an aquarium. So when an aquarium is turned on and that water filter is turned on, everything's moving just a little bit and things cycle and the water stays clean and everything inside of it stays happy, right? But the less we move and the tighter our fascia becomes, it's essentially like turning that filter off. So now there's a lot of stagnation. There's a lot of things that start growing, you
Mm.
know?
Interesting.
It's similar in the body, and if you think of so much stagnation happening in the body, it's not just the physical component there, it's energy. We're all made of energy. We can debate this all day. If you still think this is woo-woo, I could give you about 150 articles to read. The body is made of energy, and
Yeah.
so we have these sections that get cut off from any type of a flow and there's a bunch of stagnation, that absolutely is going to affect our mental state, how we feel in our body, and can absolutely affect your mood.
Okay, that definitely makes sense. I love your analogies. Like they really are helpful because like when you look at that nasty aquarium, it doesn't have that movement and it's gross.
Stagnation is not good for any of us, whether that's, I mean, on any aspect of our life, stagnation is
Mhm.
not key to health, right?
Our bodies were made to move
Yes,
and in all planes of direction,
absolutely.
right? Yeah. So what about does rebounding help with kind of fascia release and movement or fluidity in general?
It absolutely helps the lymph. I have a rebounder myself. I use
Yeah,
it
me
a
too.
lot, like a couple times a week for sure. It's
Yeah.
good to move the lymph. However, again, if we want to go back to thinking about the vacuum seal bag, if you've got a lot of tension in your fascia, you're going to get more out of rebounding if you do a little bit of release first, like get
Okay.
space and hydration back in there, and then go and have a little bounce. And it's going to just maximize what you're already doing. It'll just give you a little bit more of a benefit.
Oh, that's good. Okay. I have
Mhm.
not tried that before because I have one as well and I love to use it a couple
Oh my
times
gosh,
a
I
week
love
too.
it.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So then like what, like just a 5 minute fascia release movement beforehand or
Absolutely.
okay.
Maybe release the calves, releasing the inner thighs. Think about, you can very quickly Google this, where the biggest lymph nodes are in the body. So there's big ones around, the
Mhm.
pecs. There's one
Clitoral.
in the stomach. There's some in the inner thighs and the backs of the knees. So it's just like doing a little bit of release near those areas where our lymph nodes are the biggest will kind of help cycle and filter everything a little bit more easily.
Would dry brushing help with that?
Similar to
Okay.
rebounder stuff is just it's getting a lot of that superficial fascia, and the lymph
Mhm.
to move a little bit. But if you're actually feeling pain or struggling with mobility, dry brushing isn't fully it's not gonna affect those really deep layers of fascia.
Right.
So it's all going back to, again, what is your intention?
Okay. Good. Good advice as always. Okay. Now, what about the person? And this one saying, and I hear this a lot of what should I do if fascia release brings up emotions or tears?
Oh man, I've experienced many emotional releases myself and
Mm.
seen more clients than I can count have these experiences in my office. And mostly what I say is just don't stuff down whatever you're feeling. Like let yourself feel that emotion all the way through. Um, if it's something that's happening consistently for you, I would also recommend you have someone there with you to kind of hold space and just be present with you.
Mhm.
But truthfully, it happens all the time. Again, it's like you found a place that was stagnant and we just moved so much energy.
Mm.
Um, we don't even know what it is half the time. The
Mhm.
most common thing I hear when people start crying and having an emotional release, they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I have no idea why I'm crying." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, that's okay. We don't need to
Yeah.
know the why. It's just that was in your body. Let's make sure it gets out of your body."
Mhm.
So whatever you're feeling, ideally, we're doing it in a safe way though, right? So if there's anger that comes up, can you go punch a pillow for 5 minutes
Mm.
instead of, like yelling at your partner.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Find a healthy outlet, but I would say, try to find some space for yourself to feel whatever that feeling is all the way through.
All the
And
way through.
of your
Yeah,
body, then it's out. So
exactly.
continuing to be like, oh, I shouldn't cry right now. Or like, oh, this is weird. I don't want to feel this right now. You know what? I hope you can have a space where you were able to let all of that out.
Yeah, because if not, then it's just kind of still staying stagnant in there. You're not able to fully let it go, right?
Yeah, or it'll move somewhere else.
Mm,
If you don't let it out there, it might shift and go somewhere else.
yikes. What do you see more of, tears or anger?
Tears.
Okay.
But I've had a couple people where they're like, I left our session and this one lady was like, I was supposed to have lunch with my friend, and by the time I walked to my car, I was so angry I had to cancel and just like get that out for the rest of the day. And I was like, you know what? I'm sorry because
Yeah.
like these things to come up. Like, I'm sorry that affected your day, but also
Mm,
good. I'm so happy that like whatever that was came up. This is your chance to get it
yeah.
out. It's no longer in your body.
That's good. Yeah, and it's a good thing she canceled her lunch, so she's not
Yeah.
angry at her friend.
Oh my gosh, so funny. I've
Too
heard, yeah,
funny.
I'll get emails. They're like, why have I been crying for the last 2 days? I'm like, I'm sorry, just let it out.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Just all it's just stagnant and inside the body for whatever reason, like you said, and most of the time we probably really don't know, but it's just being held there. So,
Life is stressful,
mhm.
it's not if we've had trauma, it's just when,
When
we
mhm.
all store things and we're in a situation where we're not allowed to show that feeling in the moment, or maybe we were taught that it's not okay to express these emotions, and it's energy, right? Emotions are energy. So if those pockets of energy are never released, they're
Mm,
going to be stored in your body, and then there's a lot of physical manifestations that happen when you continually stuff that energy down.
right. And that's not healthy for anybody, really, because
No.
not only for yourself, but yeah, maybe it's stifling some kind of idea or dream that you might have to give to the world. So it's yeah,
But yeah,
pretty powerful.
just my last tip on this question too is, most of the time when this happens in my office, and so I see it coming, the tears start coming. I usually don't immediately let go of that spot. I actually stick with it to
Mhm.
see if it will bring everything out. So when you're doing this on your own and you feel it coming on, if you feel safe enough to just stay in
Mhm.
that area and move a little bit more, see if you can just get the whole thing out. If you need to
Yeah.
stop, you absolutely can, but that would be my last tip is like, don't panic if that
Yeah.
does come up and just be like, oh, I better stop. Otherwise, I'm going to cry. It's like, no, why don't you stay on it and see what
Yeah.
there? So that would be
Good.
my suggestion
No,
there.
that's really good. Yeah, thank you. Because I'm sure some people probably are a little afraid, like, what's happening, and they want to stop. But yeah, that's good advice for sure.
For
I like this question too because I'd be curious. If you weren't doing fashion work, what would you be doing instead?
Wow, that is interesting. Since I pretty much grew up in a occupational therapy office slash doctor's office, I've always been obsessed with anatomy and healing, and I know I'd still be doing something in this realm.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to be a physical therapist for a time. I was a corrective exercise personal trainer for a time, but none of them I loved as much as doing fascia work. But I think I would still be generally in this field. Or maybe, who knows, maybe I'd be working with dogs too. I'm obsessed with dogs and would own 10.
Yeah. And you're really good, hiking and traveling, and you just came back from an epic trip.
All over Switzerland. It was amazing.
I know. I get to see some of your pictures. It looked incredible. So,
Yes.
yeah, and I know you have 2 dogs and, yeah, hiking in Colorado and all over the place though, really. So,
Yeah.
yeah, well, you help so many people through your work, so continue to do what you're doing. But, it's kind of fun to think about those questions, but
Yeah.
okay. Another one, what's a rule that you totally break when it comes to health?
Ooh, interesting. Well, one for sure is unless I've had a really intense, impact type of injury, I just don't believe in resting for like injury recovery.
Like the rice technique?
No, not even a
Okay.
little. I just had, a client, she just threw her back out, unfortunately.
Mm,
But everyone was telling her, "Ooh, now's probably not the time to get it worked on. Don't go in. Just wait till it feels a little bit better and
mhm.
then have someone work on it." Thankfully, she knows enough about fascia now that she was like, "No, I'm going in like right now." And we brought her pain from like a 7 to a 2 in a matter of 45 minutes. But I just think this idea of like, "Oh no, just rest and protect it and just wait till it feels better." Mm-mm. I mean, I just smashed my finger a couple
Ooh,
weeks
oh yeah,
back.
I saw that photo.
Can you guys see this black nail that looks
Oh.
like this on me? I don't even know what happened. The universe was signaling to me that I was doing too much, but I managed to get it caught between a door frame and like a pretty heavy door that was swinging closed, and I
Oh.
heard the bone just go. It was pretty bad.
Oh, I'm so
And
sorry.
normally people are like, "Okay, well, just stop doing things for a while." And I was like, no, I immediately started doing lymphatic release. I went and got some kinesiotaping done.
Okay.
I started using this blood flow machine. I did a little bit of fascia release on my arm. I just don't believe in rest. Like, as long
Yeah.
as it wasn't actively creating a ton of pain.
Right.
And I tell you, I at the 2-week mark, I was in Rome. That was my first stop on my vacation, and I was riding e-bikes and not even really noticing the pain at all, because I just really believe, like, if you go after these things that
Mhm.
we're promoting blood flow, we're promoting movement,
Yeah.
just work so much faster. So I will try to stop my eye from twitching when someone's like, "Oh, I was gonna come see you, but it hurt a lot, so I decided to wait." And I'm like, "Why? Why? Stop
Yeah, yeah.
rushing."
I mean, that
But
totally makes sense just from everything you've been talking about with like stagnation and the dang aquarium. And it's like,
and
even
I
if it's injured,
yeah.
yeah.
The only thing I'll say is, like, God forbid you got into like a car accident or had a terrible mountain biking accident and you have
Right.
like an impact injury that's severe. Of course, you're going to need a little bit of time to just
Mhm,
let your body reset and figure
mhm.
out what it needs. But for the most part, yeah, throwing out your back, suddenly having knee pain, waking up with neck pain, having any of those types of injuries, I just don't believe that resting is
Yeah.
the
Yeah, because again, how is our body designed to move? It's designed to keep moving, and I really honestly think like the minute you kind of like stop moving, you're dying. So
100%.
let's just keep moving. Okay. Okay. This one specifically a little bit about qigong and tai chi. So, not sure necessarily how this one would help, but any other thoughts that you can have, how they relate to fascia? What are your thoughts on these practices given their tradition? It just cut off and growing recognition for positively impacting our body's connective tissue network.
So, I mean, truthfully, I don't know a lot about Tai Chi and Qigong, but I believe they're based on a lot of meridian systems in the body that, like acupuncture and a lot of Eastern medicine focuses on. So, specific movements are focused around certain meridians in the body. Interestingly, so all fascia is connected. We talked about that. But if anyone is really excited about going further down the rabbit hole with fascia, Thomas Meyer's research he's done called Anatomy Trains has shed light on the fact that while all fascia is connected, there are certain lines that are more connected than others. Like if you were to pull on one end, this whole series of bones and muscles would move, which is really fascinating. So there are some that are a little bit more connected. So in that light, if you look at the anatomy trains and kind of overlay the meridian system, there's a lot of overlap with
Mm,
this. So I believe there's some kind of connection that, I mean, Eastern medicine has really discovered a lot of incredible things. There is some kind of connection there where we're working specific parts of the connective tissue, but truthfully, I don't know enough about it to give you a super expert answer on that one.
it's still helpful, because it's related and to everything that we do, just movement in general. So, yeah.
Movement and things that are calming to the body. Uh, you know, we live in a high stress world. A lot of us do really high intensity workouts it's just a lot of stress on the
Yeah.
body. So being
Yeah.
able to move in a more fluid way and do it in a way that's really tapping into that parasympathetic side of the nervous system, I would say,
Mm.
go for it. That sounds like a great way to just help your body in general.
Agreed. Yeah. Because like you said, we are constantly in that sympathetic. So how can we tap into that parasympathetic a little bit more? And whether that is like, doing some yoga like we talked about, but then also incorporating fascia work too, which will help to release. So
Yeah.
that's good. Okay, go ahead. You have something to say?
Oh, I had somebody I'm just seeing like asked a question. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
go ahead.
Holly is still on, but she says she has a fascia blaster. Should I use it?
Oh yeah.
It's a really common question that I would say, be very careful. I really don't believe that fascia release should create soreness or bruising. So, one of the
Mm,
biggest things that I hear about the fascia blaster is it just bruises so quickly and intensely.
yikes.
And
Okay.
anytime a bruise happens or like a lot of soreness happens, one, that probably means we went too hard, but we're creating inflammation, which is, obviously not
Very
what we
good.
want. But
Yeah.
so there is this way when we do the active movement part of this where we're connecting with our own body, like we're in control of that movement. We're deciding how far we want to go into it. And there's a symmetry in working with the body instead of against it. And
Okay.
so if you're scrubbing out fascia and it's bruising and it's super sore, that's just a sign to me that we weren't working with the body. We tried to change it and it was not excited about that change, and that was the result.
Fighting it. It's fighting
So
it off. Yeah.
I've been literally stepping on people, like sometimes with my entire body weight on people for almost 11 years, or maybe it's almost 12 years. I don't know. It's been a while. I have bruised one person in that entire time frame, and people
Wow.
think they're going to be so sore they're going to bruise, and I'm like, you don't. When we slowly add weight and that person actively moves themselves, it's just really rare. So I
Mm.
want to say that, like, if you're bruising and super sore from any recovery work that you're doing, just be mindful that your nervous system might be rebelling against the change that you're trying to make, and we want to work with the body as much as possible.
That's good. Okay, that's good advice because I know I've gotten techniques done before, like cupping and scraping.
Mhm.
Obviously, lots of bruising there. So, what about those? Same.
Well, scraping, it's just superficial fascia. You're going with the grain,
Okay.
and it's mostly just that superficial layer. So could be helpful for those first two layers, not going to affect the deeper layers.
Okay.
Cupping, it depends. I don't love that there's so much bruising
Yeah.
happening with that, but it is a way to very quickly separate out layers of fascia and just get things moving that have been stagnant for a
Okay.
long time. That one's a little bit more complicated. Like every once in a blue moon, I'll do some cupping, but I
Okay.
don't know how helpful it is to have yourself be bruised on a really consistent basis.
Right. And that could, like you said, there's better ways to go about it. You
I
don't
think so.
necessarily have to go that route, and that you can do your fascia release techniques and not be bruised all over. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. We had another question. Is there anything for fascia pain in the head?
Oh, like headaches or just
I'm assuming so.
okay.
Not sure.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the beginning of a lot of different anatomy trains start in the skull.
Mm,
So, um, if you have headaches, I always ask people, where is it in the temples? Is it like right in the middle of your forehead? Like, where is it? But I would say working on the pecs and the neck are going to be the most helpful areas for you, because where your head is sitting on top of your body is very dependent on where your shoulders are sitting.
yeah.
So if you have rounded forward shoulders, your head is going to likely come forward and you're probably going to feel all kinds of things happening here. But when you
Right.
open up the chest, which again has some like big lymph nodes here, and you do any type of work on like the SCMs here,
Yeah.
uh, the scalenes, which are on the side, any work in the neck is going to help drain any lymph that needs to be drained out of the head. It's going to promote more blood flow up to the head because it has to get there somehow.
Okay.
So more fascia in the head, but there's less than say the quad, right? So it's harder to move some of those things. But also give your scalp a really nice, good massage.
Mhm.
If you rub around your scalp for 2 to 3 minutes, you'll feel the warmth coming
Mm,
in from your head. Like that's how impactful it is to promoting blood flow. But
that's cool.
whatever you're releasing here has to go somewhere. So release
Yes.
the neck and the chest first,
Okay.
then rub around your head because then all of the stuff that needs to go out will actually have a pathway to go out, if that
Oh,
makes
that
sense.
makes sense. So like gua sha to first to maybe release
So
some of that
I
first
would
or
say, the peck technique we talked about,
okay.
you can very gently, like put a lacrosse ball in by your neck and do some neck movements. I love just manually pick, and that just means like with your hands, right? Like pick up that neck muscle on the side and give it a little massage, kind of walk
Yeah.
your hands down towards, just it's hard to see.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, you guys. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
on this, but just
Okay.
working on the neck at all, and then you could do gua sha, and then you could, like, do a scalp massage, and then all of that stuff that needs to be pulled out of here will be able to drain out.
That sounds amazing. I wanna do that right now. Sounds like better than like massage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I
I
don't wanna talk poorly about any other thing because, we all see results from different things, and
Mhm.
everyone's I've met some incredible massage therapists out there, but
Yeah.
the standard just, like, light touch moving with the grain of the muscle, I just don't think is doing a whole lot.
True, true. And this is just a way to expedite it a little bit more and get a little bit more relief
Yeah.
and help. So, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I want to be very mindful of your time. So I want to wrap it up and just a fun one. What is in your self-care toolkit right now?
Ooh. Well, I kind of have a hilarious amount of tools. I never go anywhere without a lacrosse ball. I took it all the way to Rome and Switzerland.
Nice.
Uh, but I also am very lucky I have a husband who I will demand him step on things sometimes and just tell him where to go.
Yeah,
So he's
yeah.
my best care
I love it.
tool.
Toolkit guy. Put them in your back pocket.
But I've been taking a lot of time to be outside and ground lately, and it's not
Mm,
really a thing or a product or anything, but, it's so beautiful in Colorado right now. It's a little hot,
yeah.
but, I've been a crazy plant lady. I've been planting a million things. I've
Good
been
job.
propagating a million things, so I've just been
Yeah.
spending time outside, literally talking to my plants. I was playing tuning forks for them this morning, just
No
like
way. You're awesome.
like, that's what I do to just, like, calm myself and, yeah, just being outside with plants is definitely a happy place.
Yeah, and that just goes with, tuning into the seasonality and changes of life and like what your body and your mind is craving right now in this moment and the season that you're in Colorado. So that's
Yeah,
cool. Oh,
yeah.
I love it. I have not tried the plant tuning fork yet. But
One, one got a little droopy, and I was
okay.
literally like, "You're so strong. You're gonna make it. I'm gonna play some music for you." It's getting crazy.
Oh my gosh, you're too funny. Well, I will have to try because I'm definitely getting, our garden growing here in Idaho too. So versus in Arizona, I couldn't grow much. So we're having fun planting over here and growing. So it's
Love
fun.
it.
Yeah.
You'll have to send me
Oh,
a picture of your garden.
I will. Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, okay. So, where can people find you, learn more, all of your videos, anything that if they're looking to learn more from you, Julia?
The easiest place is, I'm the most active on Instagram, so at the Fascia Remedy is a great place to start. You can also go to thefasciaremedy.com if you want to learn more about some teachings and some other offerings that I have. But yeah, I'd love to connect with anyone on here. Come on Instagram, say hi.
Amazing. Yes, she is the fascia queen. And yeah, and we're so grateful to have her inside Life Network and all of the just help and advice that she gives to everybody around the world right now. So thank you to everyone and specifically to Julia for joining us for today's live Q&A. We are just grateful for you and all of the work that you do inside Life Network. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good day, you guys.